All right, this is our interview with Megan Lanham, one of the founders of Rithmm, an AI sports betting app available now on the App Store. Megan, thank you so much for joining us, and we're excited to have you take us through all the exciting things going on at Rithmm.
Thanks for having me. I'm out in Las Vegas right now. And we're doing Super Bowl week, so it's fantastic out here. It's absolutely jam packed already. Everybody's here, so it's awesome.
So,
Great.
as we're recording this, just a couple of hours ago, it was released that that guy was crawling up the sphere. Did you happen to see that at all?
I missed that, but I can tell you we've had some situations in our hotel as well. So
Oh, lovely.
it's
Jeez.
yeah, it's live out here. Let me tell you.
Oh, I'm sure. We'll get into all the Super Bowl fun stuff and a lot of the exciting things you have going on at Rithmm for the Super Bowl. But to start, give us the 60-second elevator pitch. What is Rithmm?
Yeah, Rithmm is a place for it's an app. It's a place for bettors to go that want to, have a place where they can actually have a smart decision accessible for them. So we created Rithmm out of the notion of what if we could provide bettors everything a pro better has? What does a pro better have? Well, they have a team of data scientists and quants on the back end building out these models, predictive models. What if we could give that to everyday users? What if we could give that to recreational bettors and sharps and make it easy for people? And that's what we've done. So Rithmm is a place to go to find data backed picks. So easily you can go to our app and it'll give you a list of games tonight, like for the NBA or men's college basketball, and it'll have a green star by it. And that means the model has predicted that is where the edge lies. It allows users to build their own models. And if that isn't something you want to do, we can have Rithmm AI build a model for you.
That's awesome. I'm intrigued. You have me as someone that makes notoriously bad plays. I could definitely use the help of AI here. But I want to talk about your background before we really get into the weeds with Rithmm and using the app and maybe some really good wins. Your background's very interesting, right? You did some basketball coaching, Indiana State, Southern Illinois, University of Rhode Island, and then all of a sudden, pivoted to recruiting. So,
Yeah.
why was coaching that initial path for you, and what made you want to go that route in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing ball. All I ever wanted to do was coach Division I basketball, and that was back then. That seemed like an odd career path. Like there wasn't a How do you? When I was in college, it was like, what do you want to do? What degree are you even going to get? So I always wanted to coach basketball. I wanted to do it at the top level. I got out of college, and that's what I did. And so I coached for a little over a decade, and had just an absolute killer experience. And but then I felt like, hey, I've always been on campus my whole life. I've never and when you're in Division I basketball all day long, all you do, you're there for the program, you're there for the university, you know nothing else that exists. So you actually you shrink down your life. And so I was like, okay, after I need to go explore the business world. So I pivoted to a startup in the recruiting space I really knew nothing about, but I knew obviously I could recruit. And it was a team of 6 people, your total startup story in a basement. I was thinking, what have I done? Like we are sharing desks. We are a true startup. But it was really cool. I love building things. And so we built that company up and sold it to a private equity firm in 2017. And then I became the CEO. The founder left. And then we built that company a little bit in an inorganic way with a lot of mergers and acquisitions. And we sold that company a year and a half ago as a conglomerate. So it's been quite a ride.
Yeah, that's really cool. You kind of just touched on it. In June of 2019, you were promoted to the CEO of Pharma Logistics. How do you think that has kind of set you up and helped you gain experience, become the founder of and a CEO of your own company?
It's absolutely critical. Like when you're, so it's made my life a lot easier. Startups are hard. Anybody that ever want to do a startup, like come talk to me. I will give you the reality of it. It's incredibly hard. Your team is slim. You're working long hours, and you're learning like the whole like hose in your face situation. So the fact that I had that experience, I wasn't like a first time. This isn't my first time. I've scaled a company before. I understand how hard it is. Those learning lessons have been just unbelievable in this world of the startup, like this startup. So I can't describe how much that's helped me. To when you're the CEO, you look at things at a whole different lens. You don't even. It's just like when you're. So when I was in basketball as an assistant coach, the head coach would always say to me, "You're great, but when you become a head coach, your world changes. Like what you think is important as an assistant, and you should think that. That's right. But when you become a head coach, those things are off the table. You're looking at it with a whole set of different eyes. And until you get here, I really can't help you understand it. You got to be in the shoes." Because I was always asking, like, what's it like? What's it like? What's different? You were an assistant coach. Tell me why it's different. And a lot of the feedback I got from really great people and people I worked with were, you just have to be in the shoes. And so to be in the shoes, super helpful.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, I would imagine you could draw a parallel from your basketball playing days as well. Was there anything that stuck out to you that you learned, playing college ball and standing out for 4 years there that you're applying now and have applied in your corporate world as well?
Yeah, when I became the CEO, when I went in front of the board of my last company, I said, I'm going to run the company like pro basketball team. And I gave it an total analogy about the roster and about improving the roster and financially what that means. And that was they understood then where I was coming from and how we were going to build things. And going out and we started doing acquisitions, same thing. What kind of talent are we acquiring when we look at that company? That's how I've really looked at everything. And the more that I've talked to other athletes that are, leading companies, it's like we all just look back on our careers and say, okay, this is a team. Here are key players. Here are players that are critical coming off the bench. Everyone's important. How do you mesh it? How do you get to excel at that top level? How do you get consistency, and excellence rampant in every position? How do you inspire people? You use everything that you did as a coach and as a player. And you got to get scrappy sometimes. Like you're like, okay, all right, just you guys will like this. Okay, somebody fouls out. You're down to like an all guard lineup. All right, how are you going to get it done? Those are like elements that you use as you're leading a company. You start looking things like that. And in the huddle, like think about that. There are days you have to make incredibly quick decisions on limited data, not fun to do, but required. I always look back and like, we did that in the huddle and it worked. And sometimes it didn't, but you have to learn. So those are kind of some ways that I think about it.
And so love that example too. The path that you took, obviously, we're spending a lot of time talking about that. So, you go from a player to a coach to in recruiting to basically running a company.
Yeah.
And then the idea for Rithmm comes about some way with some people. How did that even come to life? Like, what was the light bulb that went off with you and your founding team of what made you guys want to start it, and ultimately, why you left your previous firm to go start Rithmm?
It was awesome. When I became CEO, I was actually going to school as well. So I was going to MIT to get my MBA. I don't know if I recommend that. It was one of those moments I thought, oh, this is really smart to do. And then you get in and you're like, what have I done? But I was getting my MBA. I was then appointed CEO. I had a year left in the program. They were gracious enough to say, keep going and finish it. And I said, hey, don't worry, it won't touch anything. While I was there, I was in a data models and decisions class, DMD, it's called, kind of a famous class at MIT. It's really hard. I needed a tutor to get through it. And that was a moment of just like total humble. I'm like, I'm this age and need a tutor. All right. But it's like incredibly hard math. And so we were doing predictive analytics, and it was a moment I stopped listening to class, started writing down about Rithmm. I was betting on the NBA at the time. I was using my coaching background to make decisions. What I couldn't put together, though, was like data's dynamic. I knew my decisions could only go so far. I wanted more, and the predictive analytics was giving me more. So I was like creating spreadsheets, doing predictive analytics, but it was like so hard. And while I was in class, I was like, whoa, what if we could bring this to everyday users? Like, what if, like, we could, they don't even have to be like, we could remove the barrier. Like, just all you have to do is we could create something where people could input their instincts, which I'll get to in a little bit. About now we actually offer, and we offer a couple ways for you to make decisions. You could input your instincts, and then it would combine with our algorithm, and then it would spit out, here are the games tonight where you have an edge. And that's where it was born, was in that class. And I was just writing down, like, this would be incredible. Because what I saw in the betting world was like, sharps have teams of data scientists and programmers, and that's not scalable. And then the rest of us are kind of stuck with, like, how do we make a decision? Well, I could pay a capper. I have no idea who this guy is, and if he's given picks on both sides, and then call, I could read a bunch of, I can get on a network and read about, CBS research, and okay, could do that. That still isn't predictive analytics. There just wasn't anything that was helping the better. And we were all left with, like, me asking you guys, like, who do you got tonight? And then all of us making that decision. And I was like, God, we could just do this. And so that's where it was born. And then I met my co-founder. I'm not a quant. So I was like, I need a quant. And I met my co-founder at a bar, at a party. And he's from MIT. Yep. And somebody said, there's a guy over there sitting alone. He's
I was
from
going to
MIT.
say, how did that conversation go?
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Very interesting, because he's a quant, like, so he's, mathematical wizard, did predictive analytics for the military.
Wow.
Yeah, was the commander of an operation that brought home all those people from Afghanistan.
Holy crap.
Wow.
Where we got the planes in like a year and a half ago, got those people out. So he was leading that. So he's like wicked bright.
Yeah.
So this is his
What
world.
What was he drinking? Because I feel like that's a good.
What was he drinking?
Yeah.
He's drinking a craft. Hey, you guys will like him. He'll drinking a craft beer.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah, he
That's
passes
good.
the test.
Yeah. I was drinking a Bud Light. I do not pass your test. I drink I'm from the Midwest, so I drink terrible beer.
We're tolerant of all beers on this show.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So he was like just drinking a beer, and I'm just go over there and I say, hey, I'm in the MBA program. I heard you graduated from it. And he's like, how's it going? I'm like, oh, I'm in this really hard class called DMD. It's killing me. He goes, oh, I used to teach that. And I was like,
Wow.
Cool. You are my guy. And so I was like, so we started talking about the class, and he's like, oh, I can totally help you. And then I was like, I have this crazy idea I want to tell you. It just hit me like he's the guy. And so we started talking, and he loved it. And he was like, oh my God, let's start doing this on the weekends. And I'm like, yeah, I have a full-time job. You have a full-time job. Maybe we could this could be a hobby of ours, and figure out if this actually works. And so we did that. And then it worked. We hired some engineers from Bulgaria to like build us an MVP. And on the weekends, we were just like playing around, and gave it to like 25 of our friends and family, and everyone was winning and having a great time, and like couldn't believe like this existed. And so that's kind of how it all, that's like the grassroots of it all, how Rithmm came about. It's been it's been a blast. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome. So there's a lot of sports betting apps out there, and a fair amount of them actually use AI as well. What do you think kind of separates Rithmm from the rest of those sports betting apps?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. Like we are real AI users, so we're really using AI. There's a lot of people that say they are, but if you could ever get behind the scenes, we know when they're not, but we are really using AI. I would say a couple things. So from a proprietary standpoint, so we have our quants are from MIT and Amherst. Another one of our guys that's helping us, he used to run the NBA desk at a sports betting hedge fund and got sick of trying to move money. And he is with us. Like, we've got incredibly smart people, engineers and quants behind this, that with their minds, they're creating the baseline and then the algorithm, and then the algo takes off and the machine learns. And so from a proprietary standpoint, how Rithmm is separated is that we have brilliant minds, and I would put us against anybody, and our data shows that. In terms of the user, how does the user separate? How does it separate us? So we've simplified incredibly hard math to help you, and we also predict scores, and we make predictions. Like, you'll see when you go to Rithmm, you'll have what we call a bet card, where we'll have, here's the game tonight, here's the line, here's the win probability based on the model, here's the edge, and then it'll say Rithmm predicts, and then we actually make a prediction. So we're setting lines like Las Vegas, like we're doing exactly what Las Vegas is in our own way. So we have those capabilities, and we've shown, we've actually, when we were building this, we showed this to MGM Bets, and they said, you guys are doing more than we do on the back end.
Wow.
Oh my God. Wow.
So we are running like really advanced. It's really wild what's happening on our back end and how easy we're trying to make it on our front end. And we go back and forth all the time with, like, how simple do we allow it? Because it will take away from really how hard this is. But we also want users we want it to be super user friendly. So those are always the trade-offs, if you dilute your product too much, it doesn't feel like it's super smart. And we have we have built like a Lamborghini of, that's how we describe it for sports betting from a predictive analytics platform. And we have to reduce it to somewhere where people can understand it, because no one likes to do math. Like, except for the quants, but no one wants to talk about math. Like, it's like, so
like a fair amount of your users are not going to want to do math. Yes.
No, they just want to get on and make picks, and we're trying to take it to that. We're trying to meet them at that level without losing our credibility in this. So, and I think right now, we're seeing we've got a lot of users. We have tons of feedback of where, what they want and what we have. And so I think we're meeting them, and I know a couple things that we're going to do in the next couple of months that are really going to help people. We're going to add some more graphs, and we're going to make it a little more digestible than just data, and add some generative AI to it. So we'll actually tell you why the model picks, the certain game tonight. So when you guys are sitting around having a beer and you're like, hey, I made a coaching model, and my coaching model has tonight, who do we have tonight? I can pull it up. Like, hey, I've got for NCAA men's basketball tonight, I've got, of course, I've got the over for Charleston Southern versus Winthrop.
Good old fashioned Big South basketball Wednesday night.
So I'm like, okay, my coaching model says it's going to win by 76.2%. The odds are 110. And my edge is 44.3%. Rithmm predicts the total is going to be 156.2. So I'm going to take that bet. But what we want to do is we want to put in there, oh, when I'm sitting at the bar and you're like, who you got tonight? Oh, I'm taking the over on the Winthrop game because my model likes it when teams shoot a lot of foul shots. My model likes high tempo teams, where it will spit out why the model chose it. Because right now we're giving you all the math, but we're not giving you the why. And we need to do that. But, I think, to your point, that was a long-winded way of saying we separate ourselves because we do give a prediction. We do, and we are using AI in a way that will take some of your instincts and blend it with our math to give you a personalized, customized model.
And I feel like it's an interesting segue to this next point, which, I've done a fair amount of research into AI in general, and I feel like eliminating bias is a big part of it, right? And that could be, it means a lot of different things, but I think in this context, it's, could be favoring a certain team over another more routinely, or the opposite, right? Or does your algorithm spit out overs, 75% of the time or whatever? So, that fascinates us, because it's like, how do you take all that data and make sure that it's actually that is not favoring maybe a team or maybe even like a conference against another, how do you even tackle that? Like, how do you wrap your head around it?
I mean, our scientists are looking at it daily. So I mean, it's too bad one of them wasn't on. He would like to nerd out with that question with you, because that is a constant conversation internally of, that we don't have that. What we try to do with our users, the ones that want to actually build models, we try to tell you can build up to 3 models. We try to tell them, don't create similarity in your models. Like you should not be doing that, because you'd like to see some model ensembling where you have 3 models pointing to the same thing, but you've created them so differently they wouldn't pick up. There wouldn't be a bias there where So yes, so it's a constant conversation. It's a constant looking at models, looking at what edge values are winning, optimization, and then tweaking our models. So, like for the Super Bowl, okay? Right now, all the models that I have for the NFL, all my models that I built 3 of them, I have all caution flags. I don't have one green star. And a green star means my model predicts this. So it's telling me that, like, your model really can't make a decision. You can bet, we would caution you to bet the game. Mm-hmm. So what we like about our platform is we put caution flags and green symbols so we can share with people of when we think there's something off with the market or something there's off with this pick. And that is also another responsible way for us so people aren't just betting everything. We like people to bet smart. That's the whole purpose of Rithmm, is like to help people. So it's constant looking at the models and the performance. And like, we built Rithmm AI models. So to give you a sense, when we first built Rithmm, it was, you get in there. We built 5 factors for basketball, let's say: offense, defense, 3-pointers, tempo, and fouls. You would slide sliders to the right if you thought it was important. Like, let's say you're like, I think high tempo and high offense teams are ones that would have an advantage, or more of an, like, I want to watch those kind of teams, go find them for me when they have an advantage, right? That we have that. Mm-hmm. That personalized model, you name it, it's yours. You put your spin on it. Then we had a lot of users that said, I don't have an opinion. Help me. Where should I put my sliders? So we came up with Rithmm AI, where now it's like, you can push a button, we will move the sliders for you, and you can have Rithmm AI build you a model. You can name it whatever you want, but it's yours, but we built it. Then there's a whole nother level we can talk about later, and that's for sharps, where it's like incredibly, like, you get to go in and get your own stats out, and you're going to deep dive. But we'll talk about what 80% of our users are using as our core. Rithmm AI models are performing amazing. So we've got, for men's college basketball, I have it here somewhere because I was just like, this is like, these are so good. So for NFL, Rithmm AI models, they're up 5.5% ROI. You know how hard that is for an NFL?
Wow.
For people that might not be betting, maybe they're like 5.5. Like, guys, that is hard. The NFL
right, I feel like being positive is hard enough, right?
You're
up 5%.
Yes, right. So most recreational bettors are negative ROI, and their win rate is 45%. A pro is 55%, and then in the green, but all I ever hear is just like in the green. So our Rithmm AI model is 5.5 on NFL, 8.8 on NBA. Now we're in the season, but that's where we are today. College football ended at 3-point ROI, and men's college basketball right now, we're at 2.8% in the green.
Wow.
So our Rithmm AI models are performing well. So when I get asked, like, does it work? Yeah, it works. These models are performing well, and we are tweaking them. And how do we tweak them? Well, we keep looking at what range the edge should be in, and who should get a green star, and that's how we get it to the user. So now our thing is, like, people are using it to make props. We've got player props out, and they're using it to make parlays. We're nerds. We're not big into parlays because we're like, the forces against you, but we know everyone loves parlays. So, our whole job is like, all right, if you're going to do that, then at least you'll take the green stars and put them together.
Right. No,
And I
that
feel
all.
like that's like 50, like there's probably 50 men's college basketball games on tonight alone,
Yes.
right? Like that's hard to crack the green there with all the possible combinations you could have. I mean, that ROI to even be positive is enormous.
Enormous, right? I'm so glad and I obviously love college basketball, and what I love about Rithmm is it takes you to really obscure games. So like, I'm not just me, but our users are like watching these just ridiculous like games that they just never would go to, like the Stetson, like, okay, Texas State versus Appalachian State tonight. Why would I ever tune in? Well, okay, so DraftKings has a line on it, but like that line is not going to take me to the Texas State game. What's going to take me is if I see I have a green star, I'm going to watch that game. And so you really end up watching like very different teams, which is it's really interesting where this takes you. Our users say it all the time. Like, I'm watching more ESPN Plus than I ever needed to. So
Do you have a green star on any Missouri Valley Conference games tonight?
let me check. I will check.
And
you know what?
For our listeners, this will air on Thursday, so these will have fact checked this by then.
Yeah.
The Indiana State's just on a tear.
Oh,
is that a bias? Is that a bias?
It's founder bias.
Yeah, founder bias. Yeah.
It's like I'm watching every game of theirs, but like, but I'll tell you, the other night, I'll be straight up. I had it was Drake, Indiana State. It was at Indiana State. Obviously, I've lived at the Holman Center for 8 years of my life. I was like, there is no way Drake's beating them at the Holman Center. There's no way. My model had the dog, had Drake. I stayed away from it. So I will tell you that my model was wrong, and I went with my instincts.
Wow, little intuitive betting there. I like it. And that ended up being a great game. That was 36-37 at half, and then Indiana State took it by 8 points at the end. Wow, crazy.
Yeah, I got to get people on. The only thing I have tonight in the Valley is I've got the over on the UIC Illinois State game. Let me see how good that model I had that's picking it. This model I have right now that's picking it is winning at a 54.2%, and my ROI is 3.2.
Wow.
Again, I have three models, so this is the one. So, that I'll probably end up taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this all sounds incredible. The way AI is kind of leaning into sports betting, or should I say, sports betting is leaning into AI. Yeah. But what would you say kind of like the limitations are for AI in sports betting, or how far do you think sports betting can bring AI? How far can it go?
I think we are so excited about what we can do. Like, it's more about how small our team is and how can we get what we want out faster. But I mean, the way we want to use AI is a couple ways. We want it to create content, like quickly take our data from the back end and tell a story about a game quickly. We want it to take all of our tracked bets and quickly find trends and tell us, again, here's your best model. This model has won X amount of times against this team. It's 7-0, and it's available tonight, and the green star is available tonight. We want it to do the work for us. I want it to tell me. I want to get a notification in the morning from Rithmm, and I want AI to tell me really my best plays tonight, where it says best model says this, best team, this team you've bet on is, or every home game you've bet on. I want it to tell me these things versus me having to go in and sort things and filter, which is what we have now because we need to do this. But AI is going to take this to a whole nother place. Now, things that are hard, data. I mean, you guys touched on it. Getting the right data is hard. It's dynamic. We do 3 years of data, and then we also do current data. we need to then now figure out how can we just get maybe just conference play data where we're just let's take we have a lot, but now let's narrow it down and just take a certain piece of information, pieces of data, and now say, hey, in conference, this is how it's going. So there's so much we can do. AI will help us do that. So yeah, I can't describe how geeked we are about what's out there, and we just haven't had time or the people yet. We're getting there.
Right.
But first we had to have a product that worked like that. Like first we had to have like this product. Okay, it needs to work. We need the users to understand it. And then now it's like, oh, those two things are happening. And now we have this now. We're so excited.
Yeah, and what we're excited for is the Super Bowl as well. I mean, this is the bread and butter of these big events for Rithmm and all the sports betting partners out there. I mean, what's Rithmm's strategy to keep users engaged for this week while the Super Bowl's going on? I would imagine you've got some stuff in the fire, like maybe some initiatives or new bets or maybe new props or something like that. But I guess the better question here is what's the strategy for Rithmm, and also any plays that you're eyeing in particular?
Yeah. So we're only doing player props and game picks. So we're staying away from any of the kind of the wild stuff because we really can't predict that. So we're trying to just stay in our lane right now. Perhaps next year with a bigger team, we can do some more of that. But
so like none of the Gatorades or the coin flips.
No,
and that stuff.
Unfortunately, no. This is where we stay in our lane. We're just nerds in our lane, not doing that and sticking with the math of where we have enough data to make predictions. And the rest we really can't help people with. So we're not even going to try. How are we keeping people engaged this week? Well, it's an interesting week. Like what we see with our users is a lot of them wait until the last, if you're a sharp bettor, you're going to get opening line. We have sharp bettors, but we also show we can see when people are using our app the most. And it's usually like before games, in the beginning of like a Sunday or wherever, if it's a Saturday in the games or whatever, at the beginning of the day. So we'll see a huge uptick when it gets closer. What we're doing this week, though, is we've launched NBA props. And because we knew there would be a little bit of lull going into this week in terms of just like there's no football to bet on right this minute. People still want to make bets. We need to give them the opportunity to do that. So we have men's basketball. Obviously, we've talked about men's college basketball. We've got NBA out. We just lost NBA props this week. And then heading into this weekend, we've got plenty of NBA props available for you. And obviously, the game picks are available. The line is super sharp. Everyone knows that. You can get a whole host of great player props with Rithmm. And then if you want to parlay those up, go for it. If you want to use the DFS cards, go for it. A lot of people are on Prize Picks using us. Fliff. I don't know if y'all heard of Fliff, but you can take our picks and go to Fliff and do free bets there and make money. So there's a lot of different ways you can use this.
Yeah, it's super cool that you guys are sort of, I'll call it quote unquote, playing nicely with the rest of the industry, because it's like, there's a lot of, it's a DraftKings FanDuel, sort of, it's all the fantasy sports, right? But I love what you just said about, hey, you go take our picks and play them on Prize Picks or whatever. And, you go use our data basically. So really cool. That being said, would love to know what you're playing this week, if anything, on the Super Bowl, or if you're at liberty to tell us even, but would love to hear.
My personal pick is Chiefs plus 2.5. I got it at 2.5. I think it's down to 2 now. I don't know, but I'm taking the Chiefs and the points. I would tell you that what I'm seeing on our models, I'm probably on the wrong side, but that's my model. That's my best model. And that's the one I'm going with.
Yeah, because it's one of those intuitive things. It's like, are you really going to bet against the Chiefs, right? The Kansas City Chiefs, who have just been to the Super Bowl however many times in a row, right? Yeah. Mahomes going for legacy is potentially a legacy game for him. So
my model has done very well with the Chiefs. I have this one model that's done very well with the Chiefs, and it has the Chiefs plus 2.5. And so that was my pick. Now because my model had the Chiefs throughout the year, and I was doing what obviously I became. How can you? I mean, for me, I was like, yeah, this is great because they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some myths about either sports betting or AI within sports betting that you would like to dispel here once for all?
Yeah, I think that not everything. The myth is a lot of. I wish. Maybe it's more of I wish. I wish users or bettors, the betting community is. There's a process to this, and I know everybody wants to win right out of the gate, but that's just like if you can be positive green, if you can, even if it's 1%, like you are doing outstanding. Like that's the myth that I want everyone. We're no one's going to be winning at 70 and 80% long term. There's too much variance.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how much AI you have. Okay, like that is not the case. But if you can find value and you can be in the green, you are doing great. And that's what I would, AI is not gonna. AI is certainly helping us. I mean, we wouldn't be able to exist with that. We would not exist. But it's not going to. It's going to make you better. But we're not talking. Some people are like, oh, you guys shouldn't be losing ever. And I'm like, I don't know what to even say to that. That's not possible.
Right.
Like the reality is that if we want to be in the positive win percentage where we're covering the juice for people, and we want to give them if they follow along with what we're saying and not take liberties, and people take liberties, and that's fine. We want to be able to get you in the green, and that's what we're capable of doing. So the myth is, it's like no one is out there. Anybody saying I'm using AI and winning like 70% of the time, like that's baloney. Or maybe one weekend, but like you need to. It's process.
Mm-hmm.
You stick with it. It is not one. You're gonna have one bad weekend. That's just part. It's like part of it. So that's kind of what I would say.
Yeah. So we know you've got a busy week ahead in Vegas, probably talking with bettors and with potential new users. So as we start to close out here, what are you most proud of achieving with Rithmm so far at this point in the journey?
I'm so proud that we have an app that the amount of data that we're pumping out and the amount of math that's going on in the background that we're able to do, we're able to bring that to you, because typically this stuff takes like 4 hours. So the fact that we have figured out how to get this onto an app in a very timely manner, and that you have predictions that typically are reserved for professional bettors, and you have access, I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud that we launched NFL, NBA, college men's basketball, college football, WNBA, and we're launching golf for the Masters right after March Madness. We also have a March Madness bracket coming out. And guys, I have to tell you something proud of. This is like last year we tried March Madness. We're like, could we do this? Could we? We have no odds. So that's, part of our equations have the odds. How can we make predictions when, they launch the bracket on Sunday? How can we do this? So we tried it last year and it worked. We kind of blew it was one of those moments. We did not know if we could do it. So we were like, oh, we did it. So we had, if you remember last year, it was FAU, San Diego State, Miami, and UConn.
Yep.
No one thought any of those teams were going to be in the Final Four last year. All right. We had 553 brackets still in existence in the Final Four, with one of those 4 teams winning it.
Wow.
Yeah. We had 7.
Was like 75% of them UConn, I bet.
I'll tell you exactly. 349 had UConn.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
88 had Miami. 109 had San Diego, and 7 had FAU.
Wow. Those are ride or dies right there.
Oh,
Those are some alumni that.
That was probably Eric on front of the pod.
No, let me tell you. No. Rithmm AI built those models.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Brackets. So I was getting chirps from people that, UConn, no one, they were a 4 seed last year, I believe.
5 seed.
5 seed.
5, yeah.
5. So when the brackets went out, I was getting some DMs, which is my daily situation. So fun. And it was just guys chirping at me like, I just got my model or my bracket model, and I've got UConn, blah blah blah. And I was just like, oh man. And for a while, I was like, dang man, we've got a lot. What's up with you? What's up with us? When our models pick UConn, and then I was like, hey guys,
there they are. they did they DM you back after?
No, never, right? Never. So anyways, I'm very proud of March. Like, we've got a March Madness generator bracket. We're going to do that again. It's free. So just really proud of what we've been able to do in a really short time with a small, scrappy team. Like, I mean, the people I work around are like, they're like national championship type caliber players if we did it in analogies.
Yeah, such an awesome concept, and we're rooting for you guys for sure. To close out, how does someone start using Rithmm today? Where do they find you guys on social media? Anything else you want to plug? The floor is yours.
Yeah, at Bet Rithmm, social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, wherever you go, we're there. So it's at bet_Rithmm, RITHMM. You can always go to our website, rithmm.com, RITHMM.com. You can go to the App Store. You can go to Google Play. We're in there. Just type in Rithmm, RITHMM, and it'll pop up. We have a 7-day free trial. We also have just a freemium. So we give out 1 or 2 picks a day. You can buy a pick for 99 cents. But if you want a full slate of picks and want to build models and do all the cool stuff, then you'll go into a 7-day trial, test it out, test drive it, see if you like it. Love feedback. So I would tell people, like, go download it, test it out, and give us feedback. What do you want? What are we missing? We're building as we speak. We've got more coming out. So yeah, we would love help from everyone.
Very cool stuff. We appreciate the time, Megan. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to seeing if Chiefs +2.5 hits next.
Yeah.
Come on. All right, guys.